Do you ever lay awake at night watching a scary movie, trying to convince yourself that it's just fiction? You could very well be right, but more times than you think. The nightmares on film have been inspired by real-life events. Here are 10 horror films that were based on reality. Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger has been haunting nightmares for decades now. But did you know that Wes Craven got the idea after reading a news article? The story was about a family who survived the mass genocide of the killing fields in Cambodia. They safely made it to the United States, but a little boy in the family was reporting having terrible nightmares. The young boy told his parents that he was afraid to sleep because he didn't want the thing in his nightmares to get him. The boy then ended up staying awake for days. One night, he finally fell asleep, and moments later, his parents heard his screams. When they rushed to see what was wrong, the boy was dead. Child's Play. Chucky has been a doll of Hollywood that many horror buffs have loved since the late 80s. The inspiration behind that creepy little doll was, you guessed it, an even creepier doll. Meet Robert. Robert was owned by a Florida painter named Robert Eugene Otto. The doll was given to Robert as a young boy by one of the family's servants, who was abused by Robert Eugene Otto's parents. The servant just so happened to be proficient in voodoo, and allegedly put a curse on the doll. Robert the doll would then go on to torment the family for a long time. Moral of the story: treat people nicely. They just may be into dark magic. The Conjuring. The Conjuring is based off the case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Well, one in particular. The Perrons farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. The Perrons moved into the farmhouse in 1971 with their 5 daughters and almost immediately began experiencing paranormal occurrences. Some spirits in the house were said to be seemingly harmless, but others were clearly angry and emitted a smell that stunk of rotting flesh. Those angry spirits would possess members of the family and frequently levitate their beds at 5:15 a.m. The Haunting in Connecticut. Like The Conjuring, The Haunting in Connecticut is based on a family who went through hell in a new home. Alan and Carmen Snedeker rented an old house in 1986 with their 3 sons and a daughter. The Snedekers experienced strange occurrences, from being assaulted to being violated by demons. Ray Garton was hired by Ed and Lorraine Warren to work with the Snedekers and write a story about the house from hell. Borderland. If you're a fan of human sacrifice, you'll love this film. You'll love it even more when you find out that Borderland was loosely based on real events. In 1989 in Mexico, a gang led by Adolfo de Jesus Constanzo, called the Narcos Satanicos, were said to have killed around 20 people using their body parts in ritual sacrifices. In March of 1989, Mark Kilroy, a pre-med student from Texas, went missing during spring break in Mexico. The cult members were responsible for Mark Kilroy's abduction and murder. The gang said they needed Kilroy's superior brain for a ritual spell. Eaten Alive. Eaten Alive is a horror film from 1976 about a psychotic redneck in East Texas who owns a rundown hotel. He kills people who upset him or disrupt his business and feeds their corpses to a crocodile that he keeps as a pet in a nearby swamp. This movie is based on Joe Ball of Elmendorf, Texas. Around the time at the end of Prohibition, Joe Ball owned a bar with an alligator pit that served as entertainment. Joe Ball was suspected of the murders of several women, but the flesh found in the pit were never proven to be human. On September 24, 1938, Joe Ball committed suicide in his bar when he was about to be detained for his connection to the murders. The Dentist. This film is about a successful dentist who goes insane after he finds out his wife is cheating on him and takes his frustrations out on his patients. As unbelievable as it sounds, This movie is also based on real events. Dentist Glennon Engelman of St. Louis, Missouri, who earned cash on the side as a hitman, was the inspiration behind this film. He murdered for profit over the course of 30 years using methods such as shooting, beating his victims to death with a sledgehammer, and car bombing. The Entity. The Entity was based on the real events of Doris Bither, the real-life Carla Moran, who allegedly was tormented and defiled by a spirit. Doris Bither's son in real life described an instance in which his mother was thrown by force, causing her to hit her head. He tried to intervene, but he too was thrown, breaking his arm in the process. Coincidentally, when filming a scene inspired by this incident, the actor portraying Doris' son broke his arm as well. Fire in the Sky. Fire in the Sky was made about an American logger named Travis Walton who supposedly was abducted by aliens. Travis Walton revealed a lot of information about his abduction in great detail, but left out certain bits of information for fear that delving any deeper would get him killed. That was all revealed while he was under hypnotic regression. The Strangers. This movie is interesting for the fact that there are two confirmed inspirations behind it. The director/writer of The Strangers, Brian Bertino, claims that he was inspired to make the film based on an event he experienced growing up in Crowley, Texas. A group of people knocked on his door while his parents were out, and his sister answered the door. They asked Brian Bertino's sister if someone unfamiliar to the two siblings lived there. Once the group realized that people were at the residence, they left. Bertino later found out that the group of people who knocked at his door were involved in several break-ins in his area. Brian Bertino later admitted that his main inspiration for the movie was the Tate murders committed by the Manson family. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to comment below on which of these 10 were your favorite, or if you have a favorite that I forgot to mention. Also, I would love to start reading some true scary stories based on your own experiences, so if you have a personal creepy experience, please email it to me. I'll leave my email address in the description for you. Just send me your story as well as a brief statement of consent and whether you'd like to be credited for your story or remain anonymous. I'm also going to be starting a new segment on my channel which is going to be me reading scary stories for the youngsters. I will be calling that segment Spoopy Spaghettis. Lastly, I'd like to thank you all for stopping by and watching. These last couple of weeks have been a huge learning process and I'm extremely grateful for your support. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video with your fellow horror enthusiasts. Take care and I'll be seeing you later.